As I am on my hands and knees in the garden weeding, not praying, but I am seeking for a way to resolve a conflict between myself and another person, which has been the subject matter all morning. These thoughts keep coming to me, and I can't wait until I get home to write them down. So I'm going to try and see if I can capture them in the video. So I'm going to draw on the information by Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor, a neuroanalyst who suffered a stroke many years ago and lost the left brain function of her brain and spent 8 years in her right brain hemisphere, and she got the unique experience of being the observer inside of her brain to understand what's going on there firsthand. So it's excellent information. I highly recommend it, as you can merge it with your spirituality. You can merge it with your biblical studies to get a better understanding of how it all works together. So I'm using her template. She says that in our two brain hemispheres, left and right, we have two characters on each side. On the left side, we have character 1 and character 2. Character 1, the way I understand it, is the one with the boxing gloves that will come to your defense and put up a fight. Okay? Usually that's the one that comes out first whenever there's tension or a conflict and goes into full defense mode. Character number 2 is your rational reasoning character, but in the initial trigger phase, that one is in the background. Then when we switch to the right side of the brain, we have the fun-loving, playful character that maybe tends to run away from conflict. And the fourth character is our spiritual character, the access point to consciousness, the access point that connects us to God awareness, God consciousness, or in religious terms, we would call it Holy Spirit or Jesus. So that's your fourth character. So that's the 4 characters in your brain, in your head. And to live a more balanced life, these 4 characters or players need to work together more. And Dr. Jill calls it the brain huddle, cooperation between the 4 characters. So to apply this model to the conflict situation at hand with my friend here, at the moment, the boxing gloves are on. Character number 1 is out in fight mode, in bully mode, standing up for their rights. How dare you reject me? How dare you abandon me? How dare you that you don't want to play with me? Okay, those are the reactive, defensive responses from character number 1. To resolve this conflict, we have to have a consultation with the other 3 characters in this situation. For example, I need to have a conversation with character number 2, the rational part on the left side. May I propose, also we need to have consultation with character number 3 on the right side, the emotional part that feels rejected and abandoned. So number 2 and number 3, if we were to have the conversation, can I ask number 3, character number 3, when you were a child, you suffered the experience of being rejected, of not being wanted. Like I used the playground example, you know, you might have been playing with children and a group of children bullied you and they didn't want to play with you and they abandoned you and they rejected you. Okay, so that is a wound that you have sustained during childhood. And because that wound hasn't been recognized, hasn't been healed, hasn't been acknowledged, character number 1 is going to run off of that memory, of that experience many, many, many years ago, decades ago, right? And character number 1 is going to use that to justify his defense with any person in the present whenever it feels like that feeling that happened first on the playground where children rejected me and didn't want me. That feeling was so painful, and that feeling is still in character number 3 because it hasn't been healed. It's a shadow. So, character number 1 and character number 3 need to have a conversation with the help of character number 2, the rational part. So, what is really happening right now in this present moment with me today? Let's rationalize this. We're not on the playground. I am a internet personality, an internet online character. It's not even real. It's just somebody that types words and sends videos. Digital. It's a digital version of me today. But because I said, I'd like some space from you. Can you respect my boundaries? That felt so much like the initial memory from the playground. And you felt that pain in the present, and now character number 1 is making me responsible of the initial crime, calling me all kinds of names, calling me down, saying what kind of a two-faced hypocrite I am, etc., etc. And all I have done was kindly ask for some space and not have this person engage on my posts all the time, because often they are contrary, and then I have to expend the energy trying to correct the comment in order to keep the flow of my post, right? I likened it to me trying to knit a sock, and someone comes along and pulls on the thread and undoes my sock. I'd like to finish knitting the sock. I'd like to finish this thought, this consciousness, and the direction of the consciousness without constantly experiencing the conflict of someone coming and unraveling the whole thing by countering it with a contrary opinion, right? So I just asked for some space, for a timeout. Anyways, that didn't go over well, and the childhood wounding comes up, and character number 1 with the boxing gloves comes out, and we have a problem. We have a problem today, not because I committed some crime, but because the childhood memory of rejection and abandonment are still playing in the background. Character number 3 is still wounded and living off those memories today and getting into conflict with total strangers over this feeling, right? So I don't know if this makes sense, but we have to employ some rationale. Have I really committed the crime that your um, defense is labeling me with? Or are you overreacting through the pain of character number 3 and projecting um, this shadow onto me? And all you can see is this evil person that I am, simply because I am trying to set a boundary and make my personal space and my intentions a little more comfortable, and not constantly allowing this other kid to come and kick my sandcastles as I'm trying to build a sandcastle, right? But this kid comes and throws a rock at my towers, and I have to keep rebuilding it. So think about that in the context of these examples. Does my um, boundary truly warrant the reaction that you're giving me? Or are there these trauma factors that are magnetizing, not magnifying the emotions and making me the villain and making me responsible for the bully in childhood that caused the initial wound, right? So here we need the help of character number 2. Come and rationalize this out. Am I truly this evil person um, that you feel I am? Simply for saying, hey, I don't want to play with you today. Can we take a break from each other? So, anyways, hopefully, this template, if you employ it, can help you become less reactive and be able to respect and accept the choice of another without being so explosive, without being so angry, without being so disappointed. Because I've got to live my life. Um, I tried to be kind about it. I didn't block you outright, but I made a kind request, and that was too much. That was too much. That was too much of a trigger. So, anyways, I hope that we can work through this. I'm not your enemy. I just sometimes need a little space, from people that are constantly contrary. I've been there, and I think I was a real pain in the ass a couple years ago by always challenging people, and it doesn't feel very good. So sometimes we need to take some space.